All right, Brian, welcome back. Post-can episode here. How you been, man?
I'm good, man. Jet lag gone. Got my luggage.
You got it?
2 days later,
They shipped it to you?
Yeah, we got on the flight at Aer Lingus, and they were like, yeah, none of your luggage made it on. I'm like, oh, cool, perfect.
Did E-Scoops lose his luggage as well?
He also got his late, yeah. His
Damn.
came at like 3 a.m. in the morning on like Tuesday, which is hilarious.
So where did
very suspicious.
They delivered to your house, or you have to like go to the airport?
No, they delivered it.
Oh, nice.
You do a little, which is kind of not bad.
I kind of like that.
Maybe that's the new way to travel, like lose your luggage.
Yeah, man.
But no, Cannes was interesting this year. I'm curious what you thought. It was your first year.
Yeah.
Going into it.
Yeah. So we definitely got to talk about, I don't know, like big headlines. We got to talk about our experiences there. You've been to a couple of them.
Yeah.
Favorite parts, some stuff that, maybe disappointed us, but I'm happy to kick things off. First Cannes ever. It's one of those things, like, we learn about it. We talk about it all the time when you're in an agency. Like, everybody wants to go at some point, and you feel like you have like this FOMO if you don't go. So I was really pumped for my first time to be there. Being like our own content creators now with Jack and I, it was so fun. Like we got brought out by Raven PR to do like a content series. So we were we're doing Tiny Terrace Talks. So like in the day we were shooting content, like back-to-back videos from like shooting, editing, post, shoot, edit, post. And we did that like 4 or 5 2-minute videos per day. Through that Wednesday. So we were like kind of locked into this like nice air conditioned apartment looking over this terrace of like people walking around like the Croisette, the Palais, while it's like super hot out. I was like, this is perfect. Because I know I'll get out there eventually, but in the dead heat, like knowing that we have a job to do like was so good. We had like that balance. You gave me that advice of have like some structure, like have a happy hour, have a dinner planned, and like that's the fundamentals. Try to get that once per day, and that was really good advice going into it.
Yeah, I mean, my rule is seafood, eat food where I can. So you gotta just take advantage of where you can get food or any sustenance of any kind, or any AC.
Yes.
No, I agree. Like it's interesting. I think we had like similar like schedule, like in terms of like the workload during the day, like. I was Uber Eating like all week. I was like stuck to my apartment writing articles, interviewing people here and there. But then you go out to panels when you can. You go out to I went to the LVMH villa, which was really cool.
Nice.
And that was interesting, just seeing like that space. And there was a lot of like privatized events that I tried to make my way to. But yeah, this year was it was my 3rd year in a row, and I think. I feel like I finally like was able to like take a beat and like enjoy it a little more. So that was interesting. I'm curious what like your favorite activations were, and we'll get into the news, but I'm just curious like what stood out to you.
I think definitely Sport Beach was the coolest thing like that we went to. Like they really welcomed us in there. Like we went to their dinner, and Matt Murphy, the CCO, like recorded a podcast with us, brought us a raw bar. Like they interviewed us, and like they really welcomed us. And just the fact, like obviously it stands out. I think everybody is somewhat familiar with Sport Beach and like seeing celebrities and stars, and like it was a lot of hype leading up to it, but I think it lived up to it, and they really welcomed us. So we really appreciate it. Like Glenn Cole, just a wild character and just so funny. Like that was probably top of mind, like one of the coolest things that we've done. We went to Antibes as well.
Oh, really?
And the Day One agency and gymnasium like party on Sunday. Just getting out there, it's so beautiful. I felt like the Croisette and that area was definitely like commercialized, like everything's sponsored, has a big brand, they're big build up, big budgets. Like it took over the Croisette there. But when you go out to Antibes, you're like reminded like you're in a beautiful like area. And it was nice to get away from that, like a 20-30 minute drive. So that was great too. But how about you?
Yeah, no, I think, Sport Beach has been great the past few years. And I think, this year in terms of activations, like, I thought there were a lot of interesting ones. There were a lot of repeat ones, like the Reddit activation was back, which is great. This is my first time going to the Netflix activation, and they had like an after party, which was interesting. Just seeing like the different entertainment execs that were there was interesting to me. I was really like, I love seeing the out of home ads, you know, like I don't know if you paid attention to those a lot.
Yeah, there was a couple like none like that stood out to me.
Mouse like standing on like sitting on a building thing.
Oh really?
Yeah, because Disney was there. And
I remember that.
Yeah, and then like some Squid Game stuff, you know.
Well, I was gonna ask, like, of all of this, like, what was like the big theme this year? Now that like, you know, retroactively looking at it in retrospect, what would you give a headline for this year's Cannes?
I would say, like, you know, and look, I haven't been going for 10 plus years like some people, but in my experience, I think I've never seen this much tension between like AI and creativity than I did at this festival.
Really?
I felt like, you know, behind the scenes, a lot of the conversations I was having with like CMOs and agency executives, like, was really focused on, yes, creativity is important and how do we get back to that as an industry, but also like the reality of we need to understand these AI tools better. And, you know, CMOs were telling me they felt that they were investing more in AI than some of their agency partners, you know, and I think, you know, historically, marketers go to agencies to be that type of innovation partner, that type, you know. So I think that AI's like been growing so fast that like people really used Cannes this year to like look at AI demos, look at like set up like 20-person, 30-person meetings. Like the Boston Consulting Group had their like invite only event where it was like a lot of the panels were about AI, you know. So, you know, I think in talking to like really big creatives at different agencies, like they're feeling that pressure from marketers to like be literate and also be using AI tools. So I think like everyone used this year to like kind of like smarten up, like they're, you know, just understand what's happening, you know. And then we also know that like some bankers were there, like Citibank and UBS. And
what are they doing there? They're not supposed to be here.
They're looking at breaking entering, I think.
Damn.
No, look, I think it's the same thing, right? Like, you know, at the end of the day, AI is it's not just a marketing thing. It's affecting all business. So I think they were looking, from, you know, my sources, they were looking to see what are these companies that are innovative right now, what are potential deals down the line that they could be looking at, and maybe just seeing like what's happening. You know, I think there is a lot of questions, and in general, the conference has become more business like. You know, the Cannes Lion had their first CEO forum on Monday, which was like CEOs only, and it was focused on the CMO and CEO kind of like. There was a report that was put out by the ANA. And it was focused on like CMO and CEO relationships and like maybe the disconnect there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, from some conversations that I had with some creative leadership, they were talking about how it used to be like just ad agencies, like the creative agencies there hanging out, going to the award shows, like celebrating, and then like going partying, celebrating the creative work. Now we see an influx of the brands there, like and these third party companies and vendors. I even heard there was a year where the beach was full of like vendors, like the media tech activations were there, and like that was a nightmare apparently.
There was a Snapchat Ferris wheel that
that's pretty
was
sick.
Controversial at the time.
That's sick.
But now
at the time I could see like it's like the first time that Snapchat probably broke into that.
Right. And but you know, I think it's unavoidable now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think but you know, outside of that, other takeaways that I think people should be paying attention to, it's like entertainment was there in a big way. Like Tim Nudd, our creativity editor, he did an interview with the Brutalist director, and you know, entertainment is showing up in a big way with brands because they need that partnership more than ever. And so I did see a lot of that, you know, showing up in like private conversations as well. You know, I just think Cannes is becoming this way for like new forms of creation, right? So like creators were big, you know, they were having like TikTok, you know, set up a 20-person meeting for Alex Earl to talk with like European brands. That's super like strategic, targeted. Creators are getting smarter about brand partnerships, and brands are also seeing like, damn, this person has 10 million followers. That's more than like a media company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like we should take them seriously. Whereas I think in years past, creators weren't viewed as like real partners, So
Yeah,
a lot of growth there just overall.
yeah. I guess some questions for the younger audiences here, like knowing what you know now about Can and what you learned, like where would you direct aspiring advertising professionals to invest their time in now?
Yeah. What if they go
What
to
route?
Can?
Like what career routes do you think are hot right now?
yeah.
Is it getting into AI and the coding side of things, or working at a tech startup? Like what routes do you think are going to be exploding?
Well, it's interesting. Like I moderated a panel with Daryl Lee, the CEO of McCann, Maggie, the CEO of Crispin, the CEO Carrie McKibben, from Mischief, and Tyler Turnbull, the CEO of FCB Global. And one of the consensus there from that conversation was like, as AI becomes a bigger part of things, like internships and junior level positions are really going to change, if not disappear in some way. So, you got to think like note-taking jobs or like low-level production or like just like research jobs are really going to kind of go away. But, I think within that, you should focus more on like AI creator kind of roles. Like I know some agencies are hiring AI creators specifically. I think, I would invest in like strategy, like understanding strategy more than just creative, like or in conjunction with creative. I would say just like start creating on your own. Don't wait for businesses anymore. Because I think you almost have to show up to your first job like having more knowledge than you had to before.
Yeah. I feel like in some ways, if I'm hiring somebody, I want them to teach me. Right. Like some of these tools and like the social media platforms. Right. So make sure you're immersed on all of those things. I'm also just thinking out loud now, probably good account management skills of like just the human interaction now. Like it's probably going to be really helpful. While there's, creativity might be challenged. If you can put yourself as like a great like AM role and good communication skills, email, writing, following up, those calls, those connections with humans, that might help you out. And that might be something that's an interesting route to go down.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I think agencies and brands are going to be looking for people that know how to deal with other people, especially like if workforces do shrink, right? You are going to need people that are multifaceted. And, I don't think you have to be an extrovert. I think there's this like misconception, right, that you have to be an extrovert, but I think it's more about understanding how people think, what motivates them and things like that. So I would prioritize companies that train you on account management well, which is hard to know from the beginning, but I know there are agencies out there that like, have their way of working and you should pay attention to that.
Yeah, and you don't have to wait to like get trained. Like you can get your buddies and like reach out to some smaller local businesses, or you can do your clubs on campus, or this summer. Like if you have an internship, like try your very best there and learn as much as possible how people email, how to set up meetings, what people care about from creative strategy, production, how those all work. I think understanding the landscape is so important in getting those like shots on goal.
I would just start a Substack. And I would just, you know what I mean? And then have one project where you're just like, how can I work with the local business, real quick?
Yeah, you got to figure out a way to like everybody has to be like their own little media company. It seems like you have to be able to differentiate yourself, create content in some way, shape or form.
Yeah.
About your discipline. Like when you figure out what you want to break into, then create content around that and how you're learning and the progress and process along the way.
For sure.
Because that'll help you stick out. And Nils Leonard always says this too, is like get famous. Like your work should be famous. Stuff that you're trying to do like should be recognizable, trying to break in, so then agencies come to you, which is it's a good goal actually. It seems like it's impossible, but the only way to do that is by starting to post, figuring out your niche and putting it out there. Yeah.
No, for sure.
And you can find the team. Like, you don't have to
sure.
do it on your own. Like, if you're a writer, you find an art director.
Yep.
Or somebody that's good with AI prompting. You find that person. You can find your dream team of like
sure.
1 to 3 people for sure.
For sure.
Anything else can related? So we got some of those key takeaways here. Any fun celebrity meetups? Anything? Any mistakes made? Anything like you want to relive?
Well, I did get to meet Noah Lyles, which is cool. You were there.
Yeah.
I spoke to him for like 10 minutes. We spoke about like fitness and like food regimen.
Oh, nice. What did he recommend?
Well, he was like, you don't have to like do all these crazy diets to be in shape. And I'm also like, when you're running that constantly, you can get away with that.
Yeah, he can eat probably whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like he was talking about
how he beat iShow speed.
I wish that came up. No, look, I think all these athletes and celebrities are trying to like start their own companies now too. And so like that's a thing. In terms of like, I don't know, like I felt like Carlton was less poppin' this year. I think there were a lot of like a lot of parties going on in like separate areas, and this was also like the first year where I was like I had Ewan on the ground, so like I had to like show him a little bit how it works.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed just the more like dinner and like private events than anything else, I would say.
I think there's a hot take. Let's get rid of all the private events and the invite only stuff and move everything back to the Carlton at night. Like everybody has to go there.
Yeah.
Nobody has to worry about invite lists and stuff like that.
Well, I think there should be like one day at Cannes where like there's none, or like, but it's hard to, how do you, as Cannes, you can't really stop people from doing that.
Do you think younger professionals should get to Cannes? Whether it's mid-level, ACD below, if their company's not paying for it, because it's hard to get there. Right. It's expensive for the companies to house you and all that. But do you think it's a worthwhile approach, or do you think it's overhyped?
I think it's still worthwhile if you could find a way to not like break the bank. I would say you still get to see a lot of great work. I think I spoke to one person who was there for the first time, and they were like, I didn't really understand the magnitude of advertising until I came here. And it's like, just to have that perspective, like, because I think sometimes you get bogged down and you're like, man, I'm just creating banner ads and whatever. And it's like, no, dude, like there's so much opportunity out there, right? So I still think it's worth it. I think if it's your first time, go to as many, like, don't be worried, just be a fan. Like, don't worry about like all these like super privatized things just yet. Like, go to the Palais, go see the work, and like see if you can meet some people you want to meet, because who's going to be there. Like, realistically, just like hang out at certain places like the Gun Bar or Carlton. You'll run into people.
You're going to run into people. I ran into Greg Hahn on the street. He's like, yeah, I'm wearing your shirt tomorrow on the panel.
He wore it.
And I was like, wait, what?
With Jeff Goodby, yeah.
Yeah. And like he was just walking down the street, and like you run into people that you recognize on LinkedIn or you've seen on like Ad Age, these like stars in this world, and they're just walking around.
Well, I mean, Greg Hahn and Jeff, like after their panel on Friday, they literally spent time with whoever in the audience wanted to talk to them.
Absolutely.
So it's like you don't get that access in a lot of other
everybody
places.
It's just so cool knowing everybody's in the same, like, not everybody, but like some of these big names are in the same spot for the week. The same place as you. It's so cool.
Yeah. Any other news stories? Anything else you're like?
No, I think we did a pretty good job of not going out too late. Like, I was really proud of that. And I feel like if you do end up going, like, there's a lot of pressure. It's like these like late night parties. Like, we had so many people give us advice, unsolicited advice on like, like drink a lot of water. You're going to be out late. You can sleep next week, and you're going to get so drunk and hungover and stuff like that. And Jack and I were just laughing. We're like, we'll see. And then like we just like got home at midnight every night, and like we went to sleep.
You did it right.
And like I feel like I felt amazing there. Felt like I can do content and like get stuff done. And we still got to meet and see a bunch of people
Yeah.
So like you can balance it all out. You don't have to have that pressure of drinking or doing anything you don't want to do. You can go home early.
I really didn't drink that much this year. I used to, like, the first few years I went a little crazy.
Because you stay on that New York time. If you stay on that New York time and like you don't readjust, like you can easily stay out till like 5 a.m. I could see. I saw that.
Yeah.
But getting in on the Saturday, you would recommend, like, right?
Getting on Saturday, I would say, you know, there's always gonna be changes too. Like Friday, I was like, oh, this Friday, I have nothing planned. I'm gonna just sleep in, go see a few panels, go see the work, and then I had that DM9 story I had to like work on, and like you know, it's like you never know what's gonna happen. So don't like plan ahead, but don't stick to that plan if you don't want to. Right? You know. So yeah.
Love it. Well, I was glad to hang out with you. We were at the VML Sunset Soiree for a little bit there. That was cool. Like the drone show was out there, and like
a dude shirtless.
There was a dude shirtless. Yeah, it's so fun. But yeah, no, you're the freaking man there. Like that was fun to see you in your atmosphere.
You got recognized. You were like, hey, those are the LinkedIn guys.
LinkedIn guys. That's all we're known as.
Just rebrand.
Yeah.
Rebrand it.
LinkedIn guys. Yeah. It's fun though. It was fun. Cool. Well, if anybody has any questions, reach out to Brian.
Cool.
Yeah. Nicely done.